Anyone who has lived on this earth for any period of time knows that people lie. That's just what people do. People lie sometimes to protect other people's feelings, sometimes to protect themselves, sometimes out of embarrassment. But narcissists lie for the sole purpose of deceit, to get what they want from their chosen mark at the time. Today, I had an incident happen where I saw a lie was revealed to me today. And it's over something so simple, so pathetic, that it really makes you wonder why lie about something like that. Welcome to Waking Up at 50. Let's go ahead and get started on this. Today I had a work order that needed to be filled. And the work order, in order to fulfill this work order, I had to travel back to the little community that I grew up in as a child, where I lived, actually until I was in my early 20s. I told you guys before that I was a farm kid, raised in a little small community where everybody knew each other. Everybody knew each other's parents. Everybody knew each other's grandparents. They knew each other's children. Everybody knew what was going on. It's one of those little small communities where everybody probably knows too much, but, so be it. And where in the community there, we had our little church that we all went to, and across the street from that little church was the church cemetery, where all the members of that church have been buried there, over the years. And today, as I went out to fulfill this work order, I had to pass that little community church. And since it's just a few days here until Memorial Day, I thought that I'd show respect. And, because it's been a long time since I've been to that community. It's been several years now. So I thought I would stop by. I had a few minutes and thought I would just, out of respect, stop in and visit, so to speak, with my memories of the people that I grew up around, people who were really good influences on me in my childhood. So I parked my truck, walked across the road to the little cemetery, and walked around looking at these headstones with names of people that I remembered quite well. And thinking back to when, the experiences that I had with them, or some of the stories that I'd heard about them. And I was walking around looking at headstones and just having a really good moment, really. It's a sentimental moment, but it was one of those that it reminds you of who you are. More ice. But anyway, so as I was walking around thinking of these old stories and thinking about the influence these people had on me, I came across one headstone that was quite unusual. To say the least, it stands out amongst the crowd in this little small country church cemetery. This headstone really stands out because it's much more elaborate than all the rest of them together. I mean, it's something to see. This particular headstone belonged to a member of the community and a member of the church, an old man and his wife. He was always known as a frugal kind of guy. He pinched them pennies pretty tight. Whereas the old saying, he could stretch a dime out to be a dollar. He was that kind of guy. But everybody knew it. Everybody accepted him just the way he was. So it was quite surprising to everyone in the community when, after his death, his headstone was so elaborate. Everybody thought, wow, he was just not this kind of guy at all. Today was the first time I'd ever seen that headstone. I had heard stories about it. In fact, my little narcissist, my little red-headed narcissist, had told me stories about this headstone. And as I approached this headstone, I remember the story that my little narcissist told me. In fact, she told this story not once, not twice, but 3 different times in the period of a year. The story goes as follows, and I will leave out all names, but this person's headstone, when it was placed, she claimed, was that it encroached on her grandfather's site where he was to be buried. And no one had realized it until her grandfather had passed away. Now, I knew her grandfather and her grandmother, as I knew all the old folks in the community, because, again, small community. They were fine people. Had utmost respect for them. They were always fair to me and treated me right. But she had told me the story that this huge headstone encroached onto her grandfather's plot where he was to be buried, lying beside his wife, who had passed several years before. She even went so far as to tell me that when they went to bury her grandfather, that they realized the encroachment and almost didn't get him buried, that it had become this huge ordeal because this headstone was so large that they just wasn't going to be able to barely get him buried. They had to be very careful, and the elaborate story that went on and on. And of course, we laughed. I mean, what do you do in a situation like that? You know, you cry over things or you can just laugh at them. And we laughed and carried on about this guy's headstone. Well, today when I was there and was standing in front of this monstrosity of a headstone, I looked to both sides and realized there was no grave even close to this headstone. 20 feet in one direction and in excess of 30 feet in the other direction were the closest graves. I walked around and found her grandparents' headstone 30, 40 feet away, not even close to this particular headstone that had this huge encroachment. It wasn't like the graves had been moved. You know, her dear grandmother had passed years before her grandfather did. So it wasn't like it was anybody had made a major move or something. As I stood there, I understood that she had lied about something so simple as her grandparents' graves. And for the life of me, I cannot fathom what the purpose was behind lying to me about that, not once, twice, but 3 times. And she told the story so well. So I'm assuming it wasn't the first time she had told this lie. Whenever I heard it, I'm thinking it's part of her rendition for the past 6, 7 years now. That's when it struck me. If she was willing to lie about something so simple that had no bearing whatsoever on anything, even if she was trying to endear herself to me more to get something out of me, or this narcissistic supply that she needed, she was already endeared enough to get that without telling a lie about her grandparents' grave. And this poor frugal guy who, after his death, had a huge headstone. That's when it hit me. If she's willing to lie about that, then she's lied about everything. Narcissists lie about everything. The quicker that you can put that into your mind, the quicker you can heal from the abuse that you experienced. If you have ever sat and wondered, why don't they love me anymore? Why did they leave me? Why? The list goes on and on and on. There is no truth in these people. The truth has completely escaped them. They lie literally about everything. They'll lie to you about their shoe size. Something that has no bearing whatsoever on anything. The location of her grandparents' grave. If she'll lie about that, she'll lie about anything. Narcissists will lie. And I know that I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. But you really, more ice. The ice maker. But literally, they will lie about everything. The truth escapes them, just like they don't have the ability to love. They don't have the ability to feel empathy. They have never and will never love you. Understand that. If you've got a narcissist in your life, do your best to get away from them as quickly as possible. Quickly and quietly as possible. If you've got a narcissist that has dropped you like a hot potato or like a bad habit, stay far away from them. Block them on all your social media. Make sure that they have no way of contacting you. If they stop at your home, don't answer the door. The best thing that ever happened to you is getting these people out of your life. Know it, understand it, and live it. If you are still suffering, still hurt from your experience with a narcissist, if you can't seem to get over it, I cannot. There's no way that I can impress upon you the importance of prayer. If you're not a believer, if you are a believer, then you already know it. But if you're not a believer, I dare you to try it. Get the Lord involved. He will heal you. He will remove this burden from your life. Thanks for watching. I cannot believe the eye-opener that I had today. Man. This is waking up at 50, my friend.